Let's see if we are live. Brilliant, and we are live. Buongiorno a tutti, welcome everyone. This is a new Learn Italian Live session. Today we're going to be learning some Italian, as always. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, or if you're watching this as a recording, post it in the comments. I always try to answer. Benvenuti. Oggi impariamo il sì impersonale. Si va, si dice, si corre, si parla. So today we're going to be learning about the impersonal sì, which is one of the features of Italian that trip up a lot of beginners. And I'm going to explain it in 5 minutes, because that's way more than enough. 5-10 minutes, and then you guys can ask any questions. And let me just and we can use the image that we can see on the screen as a prompt, an image prompt, a visual prompt for people to ask questions or just write examples in the chat, in the comments. Feel free to write anything in Italian and I'm going to review it, I'm going to comment on it. Bene, bene, bene. Ciao a tutti, ciao Arturo, ciao Mark. I soliti noti, benvenuti. Come state? Let me share the link meanwhile. Meanwhile, I'm going to be efficient. And as we wait for another 30 seconds, we'll share the link on Facebook. There we go. Fantastic. Ok, bene, 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 bene. Queste sono le note della scorsa lezione. So these are the notes that we wrote in the previous episode. So we can just go ahead and just delete everything. Obviously not from our memory, but just from the page. And then we can write more notes. If you guys want to have access to the old notes, I keep them, so we can just message me in the private Facebook group, or if you're a university student, of course, just email me directly. And that's brilliant. I think we're ready to start. Siete pronti? Siamo pronti? Type 1 in the chat if you are ready. Sto bene. Ciao a tutti. Ciao. Benvenuti. Okay. Ask any question in the chat. Meanwhile, I'm just going to go and rant for about 5-10 minutes. Buon pomeriggio. 1, perfetto. Vado avanti. Ok. Allora, il sì impersonale. Vediamo. Loro parlano di te. And, let's keep it interactive. Pause the video if it's a video. If you're live watching this, think about it quickly. Think about what the translation would be, can you make sense of it without even talking about translations? I like for students to try and not even translate, but just understand, use their memory to instantly get a feel for what the meaning is. Loro parlano di te. So the idea behind sì impersonale is that there are many cases in everyday life where The subject, in this case, loro, so they talk about you, right? Loro is the subject, they. And the key to understanding si impersonale is that many times in everyday life, the subject, so the entity that performs the action, isn't well defined on purpose. Sometimes the subject doesn't even make sense to be there. For example, in the city or in the town or at school or at work, people talk about you, right? This is just an example. In this case, we are struggling to come up with a subject. Is it they? Is it everyone in the company? Is it everyone in your team? Is it each and every individual? How many people? Is it 132 people in the company? Is it 131? Who is talking about who? And the idea is that in these cases, being precise comes at a cost, but it doesn't actually add information, because the point of the sentence, the meaning that's being conveyed, is that there is a general feeling in a given subset of people that this is true, or they're talking about you, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. The point is not talking about the action, but again, the subject. So this is an example. They talk about you. Or I wrote some notes today. People learn by doing. This would translate in Italian with le persone imparano. Remember that it's very people is singular, persone is plural. Imparano. And in Italian, you don't even need by, you can just say doing, right? While doing, facendo. So this is the gerund of the verb to be. And I strongly recommend you learn the gerund, because there is no person. There is no first, second, third, first person plural, second person plural, third person plural. There are no conjugations, right? The gerund is just the gerund. That's it. Facendo is the present tense, and the other tense would be the past tense. The past tense of the gerund would be avendo fatto in this case. So you basically build the gerund using the verb to have and then the past participle. That's basically the same as English, right? Doing, having, done, right? But anyways, let's not get derailed talking about silly things like the gerund. Let's stay on topic. People learn by doing. Again, who? Who exactly? Oh, well, people in general. Oh, what about 2-year-olds? Oh, well, no, well, in that case. So do you see how it's pointless to just go into detail? The meaning is that generally speaking, people learn by doing. It's a generalization. So when it comes to talking about people in general, or when it comes to talking and expressing generalizations, points that are general in nature, then making them more precise actually detract from the meaning, the dialogue. So in English, there isn't really a solution to this. The solution is just to be generic. Use generic words, such as they, such as people. There isn't a very straightforward answer to the problem. We just talk in generic terms when we talk in generic terms, and that's it. In Italian, you can do exactly the same thing, right? Loro parlano di te. Le persone parlano di te. Gli studenti parlano di te. So it works. Same as here. Le persone imparano facendo. Right. So typically Italians use il si impersonale to get away with this issue and avoiding, so they end up avoiding using words and subjects that are generic. So instead of thinking up of a subject that fits the sentence that is also generic, what we use is si. We know that in Italian there are many different pronouns. It's a whole jungle of pronouns. Some of them look the same as other ones, and I think there's like, I don't want to exaggerate, but I think it's more than 10 or 20, between 10 and 20 different lessons that we have on pronouns in the university. And not because I love them, but because it's very tricky to tell the difference between one and the other. So il si impersonale works by replacing itself to a subject. So instead of using people, they, loro, le persone, we use si, which is third person singular. So like he, she, it. Si parla di te. So this is the more Italian version of what we said earlier. Right? Si parla di te. Who? People in general. Si. Si parla di te. This is a very common phrase, a very common sentence. There are hundreds of very common sentences that you can make with this, and they would be preferred by many native speakers as opposed to le persone qui parlano di te. It's too long, and I have to think, right? That's the worst thing. People hate thinking because it requires energy. So the less you can think, the more of an advantage you have speaking and speaking fluently. And if I have to think about who is actually talking about you, like, don't ask me. I've just, the point of this sentence is that people in general are talking about you. I can't even remember who told me about you, but it was someone else, and it was a while ago, and therefore I'll use si impersonale. Impersonale. So si impersonale. And it's called si impersonale because it's deprived of the exact person. And we're talking about the grammatical person, right? First person singular, second person singular, third person singular, so on and so forth. So here we go. I've kind of laid out the foundations for si impersonale. Perché? So why we have it. Come si usa? How do you use it? You put si instead of the subject, the would-be subject. So there's no subject. You use si instead, and then you have the third person of that verb. Parla, in this case, is the third person singular, right? Parlare, io parlo, tu parli, lui, lei parla, noi parliamo, voi parlate, loro parlano. So we have this, we've selected the third person. This is the one that we've selected. Let's just make it a little bit more pretty. There you go, guys. Do you have any questions? Or is everything absolutely crystal clear? Grazie Arturo. Ramble or rant. Thank you. They talk about you. Ciao. Al tavolo non si diventare vecchio. Ok, abbiamo un po' di esempi. Bene, bene, bene. Ottimo. Grazie, chat. Allora, la ragazza suonare il viola. Ok, questo è un esempio che riguarda la foto. So this example is related to the image, the photo that we have. Quickly, ragazza is girl. Quite an important word, quite a common one. Ragazza, ragazzo is male, a boy, a guy. Ragazza, a girl. So girl. La ragazza. Obviously, the definite article is in accordance to gender and number of the noun it refers to. La ragazza, the girl. It could have been una ragazza, or it would have been a girl, but in this case we are referring to the photo, so we know which girl, who we're talking about. La ragazza, suonare. Suonare is perfect. Suonare is to play an instrument, literally to sound, but you use this verb to say, I play the guitar, I play the whatever. In this case, it's the violin. Suonare. Let's look at the conjugation. Suonare. Io suono, tu suoni, lui, lei suona. Sauna is a different thing, yeah? Suona. Noi suoniamo, voi suonate, loro suonano. By the way, don't get... I know some people, especially people that I do lessons with, they sometimes feel a bit... I don't know, they feel like they have to get these things immediately. These things are difficult, and I was born literally taking these inputs from, you know, parents, etc., DNA memory, everything. So if you want to learn it from scratch, it's going to take a little bit of effort and a little bit of time, right? Even things that are simple like conjugations, they become natural after a few years, I would say, right? You need a year or two of practice. You can't learn these things, you know, in 2-3 months. You can learn them, but then you have to put in the work to make them second nature. So, la ragazza is third person singular, so we need suona. The girl plays, so suona. Il is perfect because violin is masculine, violino, of the violin. But this is another instrument. Unless I'm mistaken, this is another instrument. So viola would be la viola. The girl plays, and I'm not sure what the translation would be for this. But if it's violino, then the article is correct. Chat, do you know if this is a violin or something different? Because I'm not a musician. Great example, by the way. It's a very simple description of what's happening in the image. They talk about you. Heard it in a movie. Is si singular and plural? Oh, this is a good question about the I'm going to go back to the example in a second, but I've just received a good question with regard to the topic at hand. So the question is the following. Let me get rid of this. Is si singular and plural, like in the case loro? So yeah, basically the question is loro, they. Let's go back. Loro means they. That's plural. That's a third person plural, right? People is third person singular in English, but it stands for a plural quantity of items. And le persone, again, le persone is plural, third person plural. So si is third person singular. Does that mean that we can also use it? So there's a confusion. And the answer is si is 100% third person singular, right? This is si impersonale. And now I'm going to give you an example as to why Italian can be very, very confusing. But si impersonale is always third person singular. Si parla di te. Si right. People learn by doing, right? Let's do this. Si impara facendo. Can you get it? So it's always third person singular. This is simply the rule. Impara is third person singular. Si impara facendo. And this is a saying, right? Si impara facendo. People learn by doing. It's no one in particular. I'm telling you, it's common wisdom that was passed down over years and centuries and decades, and so I'm basically regurgitating this that has been said and you know, for many years. Si impara facendo. In general, people of all ages throughout history tend to learn by doing, right? Or so the saying goes. Si impara facendo. And this is not a saying, this is an example from everyday life. Si parla di te. I'll give you another example. Say someone is being a bit impolite, and you tell them, you know, you should ask before, I don't know, taking my phone. You should ask. And they say, why? And you could say, well, it's common knowledge. It's, you should know this. An example could be this. Si sa. Si sa. This means people, don't know why I'm getting, okay. People know. Or it is common knowledge. Right? So instead of le persone sanno, which is a bit weird, the people know, it's like weird. Si sa, yeah? It's common knowledge. It's something that you should know, that people know in general. Si sa. Sa being, again, third person singular. By the way, guys, if you find this useful and helpful, it would really mean a lot to me if you could hit the thumbs up button and perhaps share this with people you know that are also learning Italian. Alla tavolo, okay. Yes, it's a violin. Grazie per la conferma. Violin. My mistake. Do we not always need to use stare? Oh, that's another good question. Unrelated, but it's a really good question. And then there's another example that I want to get to, but let's answer this question. I mean, this is a live session, so if I don't answer question, it's kind of pointless, or the value is limited. So is si singular and plural, like in this case, loro? In one way, yes, meaning that it doesn't matter what the original sentence would have been, it's always going to end up being singular. And in one sense, no, meaning no, it's only singular. If it's plural, then it might be that you have another si. The same word, I mean the same spelling, but a different word. Si parlano. And I'm not going to get into this in this session. Leave a comment or complain in the chat if you want me to talk about this in the future. But si parlano, obviously it's third person plural. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on is that this si is not the same si that we are talking about today. This is a reflexive pronoun, and the reflexive pronouns are different. The reflexive pronouns, it so happens that one of the reflexive pronouns look exactly the same as this. So this means they talk to each other, right? This is an actually indirect reflexive. Complicated, don't want to get into it. Let me know if you want me to in a future session. This we've answered it. No. It's always singular. All right, let me just make it a little bit pretty. All right, brilliant. That's absolutely beautiful. So question 1, then we have question 2. Do we always need to use stare? I understand why you are asking this question. Sto facendo. I am doing. Oops, what is this? Sto parlando. I am speaking. Maybe somebody interrupts you. Io sono blah 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 blah. Somebody interrupts you and go like, sto parlando. I am speaking. Can you please wait? Stai uscendo? Are you leaving? So this is the present continuous. So yes, we use the verb stare to build the present continuous. Il presente continuato, il presente progressivo. Instead of using the verb to be, I am doing, we have sto, which is stare. Okay. Which technically means to stay in one place. So yes, we use the verb stare with gerundio. To build, to form the present continuous. Otherwise, you don't have to. For example, nuotando, this is using ho perso l'orologio. Who is brave enough to attempt translating this sentence? Nuotando ho perso l'orologio. Io nuoto, tu nuoti, lei nuota. It's helpful if you can, if you're not in public, pronouncing the words, especially this conjugation list, because nuotare is very easy to pronounce. There is the R sound, but it's not strong. Noi nuotiamo. It's a good exercise for the vowel. Nuotiamo. It's very easy to mix up the vowels for people that speak soft languages and not hard languages. And that's a technical difference between soft and hard. Voi nuotate, loro nuotano. Nuotiamo. Ok. Nuotando ho perso l'orologio. Exactly. Chad is right. Swimming, I lost my glasses. So while I was swimming, I lost my glasses. Another translation could be, by swimming, I lost my glasses. Swimming, I lost my glasses. And that's something that can be used without stare. Of course, if we're not dealing with the present continuous, then we don't need stare. All right, I guess that question got answered. Guys, we've been doing this for over half an hour. Thank you so much. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button, do it now. If you want to ask me any question, do it now. Otherwise, we can leave. I love these sessions. I love this session especially because we have a very active chat, and it brings joy to my heart. Let me know if this has been useful. Type 1 in the chat if it's been useful. Type 2 if it was maybe subpar to what you were expecting. And give me comments. I always appreciate good and bad. Commenti buoni, commenti cattivi, commenti diabolici, they're all welcome. The last example was, I'm just going to quickly go through an example that I've okay. Al tavolo non si diventare vecchia. This is very confusing. I'm not sure I understand it completely. This is right. Al tavolo. Al tavolo. It's usually, it means by the table. Non si diventa vecchi. Is this some sort of like saying? It could be. Al tavolo non si diventa vecchi. Meaning you can't, you don't age, or people in general, people don't age while sitting at the table. And this implies being around family and enjoying one's time. But I'm not sure, I might be just making things up. Al tavolo non si diventa vecchi. Si, this would be the si impersonale, diventa, third person singular, vecchi. Vecchio is old. So vecchi. Non si diventa vecchi. Yeah. Another great lesson, very valuable. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I do my best, and that's why I rely on you, on your comments, guys, and feedback. Uno, grazie, grazie molte. Do you mean I lost my watch? Exactly, exactly. Did I not translate it? Am I that? Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely, that's true. Grazie mille, uno. Bene, bene, bene. I heard it in a movie. Well, I think that was exactly the context. Okay, well, I'm glad that I picked up on that. It's can be true, yeah, absolutely. The psychology of a person, keeps them younger or makes them older, depending. It cuts both ways. I believe in that. Bene, bene, bene. Grazie a tutti. Ci vediamo la prossima settimana. Studiate l'italiano e buona domenica. Grazie ancora e arrivederci. Ciao 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 ciao.